The Stripe for Salesforce Platform Connector acts as an integration toolbox to connect Salesforce and Stripe together. This can be used for almost any integration that a user wants to build, whether that's an RFA-based integration where we're syncing custom quote-to-cash processes, or maybe we're building a tax integration, identity, partner payouts. All these are different integrations that users have actually built leveraging the Stripe for Salesforce Platform Connector. Think of it as bringing the Stripe API or a custom SDK basically for Salesforce from Stripe. The integration allows easy point-to-click configuration for several of these integration activities, whether we're syncing events from Stripe into Salesforce to where we can easily come in and turn on events or see enabled webhook events that are automatically being fed into the user's Salesforce platform from Stripe directly. This allows for an easy GUI for users to simply come in and select the events that they want to listen for and have those events automatically configured inside of Stripe with the proper endpoints and listeners set up directly. This makes the integration of creating that sync very easy for a user where they can use a simple GUI-based approach to turn on events that they would want. So if we wanted to sync, say, balances and the available balances from accounts into Salesforce, we can easily just check a box and click Save. The other capability that we offer is low-code and no-code based integrations between Salesforce and Stripe. This can be done either from the events and acting as standard Salesforce events, allowing users to create actions and triggers based on those events happening inside of Stripe as they see them come into Salesforce. An example of this might be, say, we want to sync customers that happen. We can easily use built-in abilities to say we want to cast to customer, for example. And this will natively take every event that happens inside of Stripe and convert it into a Salesforce object so it can easily be worked with. By simply just passing in the request body of the event, we can automatically map that event to the object. From there, we can do simple assignments using the Salesforce workflow engine to actually assign variables to actions that may have occurred inside of Stripe and make those into objects where we can .walk or do things like customer.name, customer.email, and easily pull those values from Stripe events into Salesforce directly. Once we want to do an assignment, we simply select the outputs from our simple cast to operation. And here we can see we're doing simple things that map directly to the Stripe objects or the Stripe API. So here we can see we have access into the address. So if we wanted to set in an address record from the Stripe event, we could. Or if we wanted to do something more in line with aligning this name up to the customer name, we can simply say we want to map name to name and we want to map email to email. So we can do very similar things this way. This gives customers the flexibility and freedom to build out any action they want, to build out any integration they want between Salesforce and Stripe. As we go back, we can actually see some of this in action. We can actually walk through how we can create a simple quote-to-cash process, and we'll simply go to accounts. Since we can sync events bidirectionally, we can actually capture events as they happen. So if customers get added inside of Stripe, they can automatically be mapped to corresponding accounts inside of Salesforce. So if we go into an account in Salesforce, we can simply say refresh here since we have an event listener, and we can see that the Stripe customer automatically gets mapped. Then back inside of Salesforce, we can see the customer automatically gets mapped to the corresponding account. We can easily map products and prices between Salesforce and Stripe as well. Here we can see we have a gold subscription and a one-time payment option for an invoice. The same prices, products have also been mapped into our Stripe instance as well. One major integration we also get asked for is, can we implement this with custom quote-to-cash processes? As we've talked about, we've had users build these, and they're very simple, as we can sit and manipulate and listen to the events of an opportunity to just call Stripe. Here we have a workflow running in the background that watches the change of a quote from going to closed won, and that actually calls out to Stripe to create a subscription schedule and relevant invoice items. So by simply marking this opportunity to closed won, we can kick off that process of calling Stripe and creating those objects. Now that this is done, we can simply navigate back to the account. We can see the relevant information being placed back on the account, such as the invoice that was created based on our opportunity and the status of that invoice. Since we can listen to events coming back into Salesforce as well, we're listening for invoice paid events, subscription updates, and things like that. So if we actually manipulate our Stripe instance and jump time, we can make this invoice due and collect payment. Now that we've jumped time ahead, we can go ahead and refresh this, and we'll see our invoice has changed from draft to open, indicating that it can be paid. Here I can simply open up the invoice, jump out, or imagine we emailed this to a user, or the user was sent the invoice directly from Stripe. It doesn't matter, we're still listening for the invoice paid events and the subscription paid events. So the user can use any of the Stripe built-in surfaces to collect a payment, and those updates can be sent directly into Salesforce to reflect those changes. We should see the status go from open to paid, and we can see the status is now paid of that invoice. So by giving users the flexibility to build out custom integrations between Salesforce and Stripe, we can support not only CPQ-based integrations, but generic CRM to quote-to-cash processes as well, where a user isn't necessarily required to have the Salesforce billing products or revenue recognition products that they have. They can build these integrations on any standard Salesforce instance that they have. So whether they just own CRM and have very simple products, or even the more complicated use cases to where maybe they're leveraging CPQ. Other integrations that could be made are custom Experience Cloud pages collecting payments. Here we show an example of how a user can build an Experience Cloud page and leverage the built-in components of the Stripe.js coupled with the ability of the connector to render the payments. Here we can see we've placed a payment element directly inside of a Salesforce Experience Cloud page, allowing users to build out custom payment screens and integrations if they might want to collect payments inside of Salesforce from Stripe. The Salesforce Platform Connector for Salesforce basically empowers any use case a customer might want. That would go from, we've had some customers build out integrations to where they're using Connect and payouts. Maybe they're paying out partners, or they're paying out commission based on sales help. We've seen a number of different integrations users have chosen to build. The advantage here is users can basically build out the integration that they want, or the integration that fits their process. I say advantage, but it's also a disadvantage, because we have seen some users not fully understand that they have to build out the integration. None of the integrations we have are out of the box, though we do have a GitHub repo that provides lots of code-based examples of how you can build different integrations. And all the demos that we present and show are also available in a GitHub repo for users to install to give them a starting point. But one important part to call out and remember during these integrations is they're not out of the box. All the calls into Stripe are out of the box, and the objects for them are out of the box. However, it's up to the individual user to define how they're going to call those endpoints inside of Stripe and define how that flow works. This might require our post-sales team or our ProServe team to be involved to help users, or a partner are usually the recommended paths for users looking to implement more complex solutions, as they have to have a full understanding of how Stripe billing works and how the integration should flow. Thank you.